Hey, what's up guys? Gemini back with another video. In this video today I wanted to make a video about why I'm a wrestling fan and kind of my story and how I got started on being a wrestling fan. It's kind of funny. The year I was born in 1980, so in 1987 I watched my first VHS tape, my first Coliseum home video, and it was WrestleMania 3 with Andre and Hogan, and I was just a 7-year-old kid, and I had never seen anything like when Hogan slammed Andre in the Pontiac Silverdome. And between that and the Ricky the Dragon Steamboat Randy Savage match, I was hooked. I was literally hooked into this amazing world of professional wrestling. It hooked me in, and from that point on, I was about one of the only kids in my town who knew what a WWF was, just being from a small town, 2 stoplights. Nobody knew what a WWF was, but I knew what it was, and man, did I get into it. I mean, I started going to all the video stores, whether it was here or whether it was 30 miles away, wherever I can get my hands on a VHS tape, a WWF VHS tape, I was bound and determined to get my hands on it. And I could remember renting all the old tapes from all the VHS tape stores and watching Superstars every Saturday morning and just being in complete fascination as a young child. And eventually got to the point where I got a little bit older and I became an even bigger fan. So I started having my own TV, my own VCR, my own cable, and things really picked up from there. And I just really got into it. And then I got old enough to start traveling to the shows, and I started going to WrestleManias after I got out of high school. Man, I mean, I tell you, I went on tour with the WWE. I'm talking about Detroit, LA, Houston, Chicago, anywhere you can think of where there was a WWE WrestleMania or a Survivor Series or a SummerSlam or a Royal Rumble. My ass was getting on an airplane and flying to that town, Phoenix. And it just stuck with me from the time I was a kid. It started when I was 7, renting that WrestleMania 3. I mean, let's see, this tape right here, I rented at the store when I was a young kid. It was called M&M Video. And I rented this tape for the first time, and I still remembered it so much, that when I became an adult, I went back and I got this tape. I mean, it just for memories from my childhood. I can remember being that 8-year-old kid and watching Hogan and Savage do the Mega Powers and just seeing how awesome Randy Savage was and going at it with Teddy and just hating Ted DiBiase and Andre for being such bad guys. I can remember flipping on Channel 17, the TBS with Ric Flair and Sting and Dusty Rhodes and the Road Warriors. And it's something that just stuck with me through the years, through the mid-90s, ordering all the in-your-house pay-per-views, ordering all the SummerSlams and Royal Rumbles and WrestleManias and WCW Halloween Havocs and Starcades and Uncensoreds and everything you could think of, Super Brawls. I mean, I was ordering it all. And, I mean, I'm talking about my cable bill. It was so funny. Every month it would be a WWF charge, WCW, and an ECW. And my father, when he would get his cable bill, I would take an ass chewing, but I mean, it was worth it to me. And wrestling is something I've never let go. It's just something that stuck with me. I mean, really, I'm almost 35. I mean, I should have probably cut this habit loose a long time ago, but wrestling is something that I just never let go from the time I was 8 years old. And there's just something about when you see the matches live and you see the wrestlers live. It's just magic. It just does something to you when you see it in front of you. Even when I watch the WWE Network and they show the old pay-per-views and stuff, I'm like, I just get locked in because all the memories come flooding back about how I lived through that time. And it's still the same thing. I still get that feeling every week on Monday Night Raw, like waiting for something cool to happen, like when Triple H gave Daniel Bryan that beatdown this week. It's still stuck with me. I mean, there's been so many great moments. I mean, I could just remember watching the WrestleManias and Kurt Angle making Shawn Michaels give up, and Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania, and let's see, there's been so many great, but John Cena coming back at Royal Rumble. There's just been so many great memories through the year. Royal Rumble 2007, Shawn Michaels and Undertaker came down the last two, and I can remember being so excited because I knew I was going to WrestleMania 23 that year in Detroit, and I can remember getting to my first WrestleMania in 2000 in Anaheim, and I could remember just walking up and down Catella Avenue that day in Anaheim. I can remember just walking up and down the street, and literally it was my first WrestleMania. I popped my WrestleMania cherry, and I felt like I was in heaven. I could remember the process, you know, going through that, you know. I mean, just to get WrestleMania tickets back then, we flew all the way to Anaheim in November '99, me and my best friend John. We flew to Anaheim in November of '99 just because the SmackDown was giving away, they had ticket forms on the chairs, and we knew once we got these ticket forms we could mail them in, you get a WrestleMania tickets and be assured of going to WrestleMania. And sure enough, WrestleMania 2000, you know, walking down the street, we stopped at Panda Express, we had our wrestling gear on, and we went to WrestleMania 2000, and we saw it on the next year that they were doing it in Houston, and we wound up going to the Astrodome. We wound up going to Chicago for WrestleMania 22. We wound up going to WrestleMania 23 in Detroit. It's just something that stuck with me from a young child. Visions of Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, all the stars from back in the day, and renting the VHS tapes, and it's something I love and I never outgrew. So that's kind of how I got into it, and it's always in my heart. Wrestling's always in my heart, and I always have passion for it, no matter how bad it gets. And I love the WWE Network, and I love talking to you guys here on YouTube about my story. Thank you, Jeb. I hope you enjoyed this.